So I screwed up. What's new? And it made me think about this question that somehow has been crossing my path regularly these days. And the question is, what are your values? I definitely have a set of values, which is why I started this channel about sustainable materials, about materials that are not toxic to me, to my body, to the earth, watching my sculpture dissolve into the ground and knowing that nothing or as little as possible of that sculpture is going to damage anything around me. But some of you might have noticed that I used foam board to make the rocks. In doing that, I strayed from my values. Not only did I stray from my values, but it would have been much, much easier to make plasticine rocks, make a mold, and then be able to do exactly those rocks again when I make this sculpture again. So this is not about your beliefs. This is about your values. I believe all kinds of things, but that doesn't necessarily help me with my sculptures. What I really want to get into is what I value, and that helps me to continue making the sculptures that I want to make. And maybe it will help you. So I've been taking a little bit more time to write down my values and to have it more front of mind as I'm working, because it seems to me that it's so easy to get away from your own values, especially maybe right now in the time that we live. Another of my values is that I'm using my body as a way to tell a story, but I'm not a runway model, and my value is to not make my body a runway model's body, because I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about something else with my sculptures. The people that I've been seeing, one of them is Beth Grossman, Writing Your Manifesto. I'll link it down below. And another one, I read this book called Story by mache, which is about screenwriting. And he talks about your values too. So I'm Diane van der Zanden, and this is Atelier Arenas in subtropical Colima, Mexico. I have developed what I think is a relatively new method of putting craft paper into plaster molds using PVA glue, making hollow, lightweight, inexpensive, durable papier-mâché sculptures. The videos that I'm making right now are about this series of 18 sculptures in papier-mâché that I'm trying to get finished. Let's see if I can do it for November, the mid-November 2025, to have a promotional show here, and I'd like that show to travel around Mexico. Those are my goals. Those are my plans. But hang around and let's see if I can do it. And the sculpture that I'm finishing in this video is called My Anchor. And I'm really thrilled about this sculpture. It is going very well, and it was no small feat to put it together. If you want to see that, the beginning of putting this together is like 2 or 3 videos ago. So you can go back to my channel and look up My Anchor and see how I built it and put the armature together and put it on the armature. I've been working on a bunch of these big sculptures all at once. Here I am bringing out the anchor sculpture to continue the work after she's dry. I got the threaded rod sticking out here underneath the board, and it makes the board wobble when I sit it on the table, so I've been sitting it into this box. And here I am finishing up the cutting with a scalpel and a cutter tool. And I have to say it was satisfying, this final part of the cutting, but it took a very long time to do it. And I went back to look at my drawing to see the size of the rocks. And I realized the rocks that I was sculpting were actually smaller than the drawing. They needed to be filled out some more. So I started filling them in with more of the foam board, just cut up pieces of foam board. I forgot about this. I knew this was going to happen. The papier-mâché paste actually shrinks, and I knew it would shrink away from the bottom of the anchor, so I knew I would have to fill it up. So I filled it, and then you would be amazed at how strong these little pieces of craft paper are. So I went back in and I put a little layer of craft paper pieces, and then I filled a little bit more with paper paste, and then I went in again and filled again with pieces of craft paper, so that this junction between these two pieces will stay together. Now, once again, if I had done it with plasticine, made a mold, made the shell of the rocks, the layered paper laminate of the rocks, then I would have been able to put in my nuts and washers that I make my joints with, and I wouldn't have any trouble with this joint. Anytime that anybody makes a mold and casts a material into that mold, there's cleanup that has to be done. This layered paper, sometimes it comes out really well and really smooth, and other times the surface might rip a little bit, or there will be air bubbles. It depends who's doing the paper and how quickly they're working. But also, there are always the mold lines that need to be fixed. Sorry about the dogs. So anyway, there are always mold lines that need to be fixed, and I just put a bit of paper paste in there. The other thing that's great with this method is, like, I'm putting on the ring, and if the ring is sitting where it's supposed to be on that pole, then it doesn't sit right up against the belly of the figure. So it's wonderful to be able to, like, just change the belly of the figure a little bit in order to put the ring on and have the ring, like, lean a little bit into the belly. And then we had a pretty good-sized earthquake right in the middle of the night, like 2:30 in the morning. And so Rogelio came out here at about 3 that morning and looked, and nothing fell over, which was the most amazing thing. But I did come out the next day and put everything down onto the floor, and we had another aftershock. So it was good that I did that. Another thing that I value is showing you when I make mistakes. This method is made up mostly from thin air. Sometimes it seems like it's just one mistake after another. And I think even people who make bronzes and follow a method that has been used for a long time make mistakes in the studio that they might not show you. It also took me a really long time to do this. It would have taken me probably less time if I had done it with plasticine and making a mold. And I'm still not quite finished yet. And I have, I don't know, another week or two to work on this sculpture and finish it. And I think it's probably pretty boring. So I'm going to go ahead and do that in the next couple of weeks. And this is going to probably be pretty much the last video about this sculpture. But I do have another video coming about another sculpture that I made called My Sorrow. And Judy Sarabrin made the book, and I got the book. So it will be the unboxing of the book with me shedding a couple of tears, and how to rescue a destroyed sculpture, because the original sculpture went over in an earthquake. So that's the next video coming up. Once I hit 4,000 watch hours on YouTube, I can go live. And I've been thinking about doing a live demonstration of how to make an armature and put plasticine on the armature. So it would be so great. You could help me with my watch hours, and then I can go live and I can help you with your armature. Thanks for watching. Bye.